I'm Jake Aaron Villarreal, born and raised in Silicon Valley, and here to take you behind the scenes to share what it's like to be a startup founder, the journey they're on, the problems they face, and the products they build in an effort to transform industries. I'm excited to have with us today the founders of Dobby, Satadru Sengupta and Alex Fontova. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you, Jake.
Hundreds of AI startups are launching every month, battling to build their founding teams. As a leader, your job is to get results. When it comes to hiring, that's where it gets tough. So you go out and you try a recruitment firm, but they don't understand your story. They're off target, and when they send you candidates, it's a waste of time. We believe you should never have your time wasted. That's why we launched Match Relevant, because your story is more than just an open role. It's your founder's journey, the problem you're solving, the product you're building, and why it matters. When we work with companies, we make sure we understand your whole story. So when we go out and do a search, we're on target, it's worth their time, they're interested, and more importantly, it's worth yours. And when it comes to hiring engineers, we work to make sure we get it right by deploying a team of seasoned CTOs that have built some of Silicon Valley's best companies. They can collaborate with you in the technical interviewing process, they can be a sounding board, or they can run it for you. When it comes to building teams, there's no time to waste. Let's make it count. If you have a role that needs to be filled, book a time with a hiring guide at matchrelevant.com and learn how we do it. I want to dive a little bit into your backgrounds before we get into your journey here. So let's start off with you, Alex. Why don't you give us kind of your origin story and where you started and kind of how you ended up becoming great partners with Satadru?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start off professionally and then I'll share a little bit about my origin story, like you said. So before Dobby, I was with WeWork. I went to join WeWork in 2015 in New York City, and it was a very exciting time to join WeWork. I was an early operator there. So I managed 14 locations in the city, portfolio revenue of over 145 million, 80 plus employees. And there's where I really learned the complex operations in the built world and what it takes to actually drive high NPS and community within those complex operations. And so that really primed me for exactly what we're doing at Dobby. Another part of my story, which I think is important to share, is what home really means to me and why it's so personal. So in the 60s, my family had to flee communist Cuba. And so they started over completely, left their home, everything, and restarted in New Orleans, Louisiana. So that's where me and my family grew up. In 2005, Hurricane Katrina, my family lost their home again and had to really rebuild. So that's where I really started to understand just how personal home is and how it is ever evolving. It can mean something different to everyone, and why I was so excited to really build and dream the future of home with Satadru. So Satadru and I met in 2020, and I was just instantly aligned with his vision for what home could be and how to get there. Really, AI and ML were changing so much at that time, and understanding that complex operations and experience is a huge part of it, but needed to be really coupled and with the vision of what it's going to take to build a 21st century company. And that's when Satadru and I met, and he can share more about his story.
Satadru, let's go ahead and hear your background story, a little bit about your origin story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jake. And once again, thank you for having us here. So I'm Satadru, co-founder, CEO of Dobby, and I'm originally from India, grew up there. And I grew up among lots of books and outdoors and a lot of love from neighbors and extended family. I lost my dad very early, and my mom was a teacher. So I lost my dad when I was 16. And we're two brothers, and he, like many Indians, she invested in educational pursuit, and that worked out really well. Got into Indian Statistical Institute and studied mathematics and statistics, and took it from there. So I, growing up, I was thinking about becoming an explorer, really when I was little, and really loved the idea that you can take a ship and go all around the world and discover new places. And that's kind of the idea of entrepreneurship. That kind of there, but I never really thought about starting a company at that time, and or never sold a Coke can for $1 Coke can for $1.30, and there is no story like that. My grandfather from mom's side, he had a hotel business back in East Pakistan. They then moved from East Pakistan to India. So both of us had that very interesting story of our families moving from one place to other. Canada. And First Forward came to United States exactly 20 years ago. So on 15th August this year, it would be 20th year of being here. Studied here, came here to study further actuarial science, and then I joined the statistics PhD program, which I did not finish. And in the first part of my career, I worked with larger companies like Deloitte Consulting, then Liberty Mutual Insurance in Boston, where I learned a great deal from amazing people about consumer insurance, like the home insurance, auto insurance. And then 2008 financial crisis happened. In 2012, I joined AIG in New York City, and AIG was completely revamping themselves. It was 73% owned by the government at that time, and they built this data science and economics and behavioral economics team, and a lot of great people joined from many different organizations. And our goal was to really drive data-driven decision making across AIG. And it was an amazing opportunity because that's for the first time I applied machine learning and AI in complex operational problems across claims and underwriting and so on. So that was back in 2015. So 2012 to 15, I was with AIG, and that's when I, for the first time, thought about starting a company. And so I never worked in a small company. I was always with Fortune 100 companies. So I was very scared, like, will I be able to start a company and all that? So I was very lucky. I joined DataRobot. I knew the CEO and founder Jeremy. Jeremy asked me to join DataRobot, and joined there when it was 25 or so people, and it was pre-revenue Series A company, and that changed everything. When I left, joined in 2015. When I left in 2019 to start Dobby, DataRobot was 1,000 plus people, and we had business everywhere. I was the general manager insurance practice. DataRobot was a horizontal AI platform, so that means we can take DataRobot, go to any industry, any function, any product, and apply machine learning and AI, build models based on data, and deploy them really quickly, automatically. It was a robotic process automation on data science, model development, and deployment process. The observation there was that, there is this AI orphan industries, where you do not have a single data scientist. That is when I really saw that, okay, home services industry is a very good one to. And we'll talk more about that, but that's a story. The common thread throughout my career is robotic process automation. And between Alex and I, we have two DNAs in this company. One is delightful experience for our homeowners and service providers, and another one is the automated backend. So we automate everything. So that drives high NPS and high margin business, and as we are building this home services company. So I come from that automation background. Alex come from that delightful experience operations background.
That's great. Well, you guys both come from different backgrounds in a sense, but coming together seems like there's a real powerful team that you can build behind. And I really like kind of the space that you're in. We'll talk a little bit about that. When we look at businesses, we first look at the market and say, what problem are you solving? And once you understand the problem, then do you actually have a service or a value that someone's willing to pay for? So, Satadru, for you, talk a little bit about the company Dobby, and also what problem you started to look at when you wanted to solve in the market.
Great question. So home services industry has a reliability problem. That's the first problem. That's the primary problem that we are solving. If you're a homeowner and if you want to get something done at your home, it's not difficult to find a handyman, find a plumber, find an electrician. What is really difficult that there is no guarantee that this would be done with five-star quality every single time. That's missing. When we entered this industry, that was missing. That's the problem we are solving. So that reliability problem is the problem that we are solving as a primary problem. Every startup, every company have secondary benefits, like the way we designed our solution, and that was also a problem. Is the saving time, right? We see a massive change in American homeownership, and our generation of homeowners are entering the homeownership, and we are selectively lazy. We do not want to spend time. We do not want to be the project manager for our home services project at home. And that's a very important problem to solve. So the primary problem is reliability, but the way we are doing it, we're saving time for homeowners, and all that they have to do is they have to drop a job on the Dobby app through a message, through a video message or a few lines, like this is what happened. And we have access to publicly available data and their historical jobs and all that, and we can really deploy the right provider and getting this job done before they can realize even. And all that they have to do throughout that process from request to five-star quality is few taps. That's it. So that's the, what we are doing. The problem when we enter this industry is really a reliability problem, and that is the problem we are solving.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I joined the club for that. I mean, we have things all the time going on with our house. We live by the beach, pipes get rusted, windows break. You're always looking for that go-to service that you can depend on, but also make sure that it's something that's reliable. They're going to show up, they're going to do the work, it's going to be good, and you're going to pay a fair price. So those are the things that I look at in the problem you're talking about solving. There's other companies out there that do different things. What would you say is the one area that you have an advantage of, that you're providing a different level of service that they don't?
That comes back to that, it goes back to the founding background, right? Alex coming from delightful experience, really having that understanding of 11-star experience. At DataRobot, we spend tremendous time in understanding customer success, and so both of us are big on hospitality. We love people, we love customers, right? And that is what makes us happy. Happy customers makes us happy. And the second element is the automation. So the big difference between Dobby and any other company in this space is that we're the only one that created high NPS, high margin. In other words, the only loved and efficient home services company ever built. Right. So you will you are right. There are so many home services company, but none of them are able to achieve this high NPS, high margin business. Better to say that loved and efficient business. That's what we did. Love part is coming from delightful experience, 11-star experience, and the efficiency coming from automation. And like today, we are the highest rated and most loved home services app on the App Store. If you go to everyone should go to dobbyhome.com and go to the App Store, search Dobby, you will see that the reviews are stunning. It is so different. And you are right, Jake. You will see people are talking about reliability. Our homeowners are talking about fair price and informed purchase decision, and all of those things are there.
That's great. Alex, for you, why is this space important to you?
Well, I shared a little bit about more of the sentimental side, why home is so important, but I'm a homeowner. I bought my home in 2020. Satadru bought his in 2021. And it was just, there's such a glaring gap right now for me in my, we like to call it our consumer product. So, for engineers, you have your product stack, but for us consumers, we have our things that we use to manage our day to day life. So, for me and my family, Instacart is a big part of that consumer product stack. DoorDash, Uber, Airbnb, Amazon, those are things that are pretty critical into how we manage our life. There is nothing for the thing that I have spent the most money on in my house, in my life right now. That's my house. And so there's this glaring gap. And so at the end of the day, we're really building for homeowners like us, because again, this is what we want to use, this is what we want to see. And I think whenever founders are building something that they truly want and truly need, that's when the magic happens.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I think it's always important to have some passion behind what you're doing and you have a real interest behind it. You talked a little bit, Satadru, about the product itself. And for the listeners that are maybe driving down the road right now or can't quite get the concept in their mind, can you walk us through visually
Mhm.
what the step by step is when you log into your system and what that's like, the simplicity of it? Is it literally taking a job or filming yourself and showing what the issue is in your house and then sending it to you and getting responses through text messaging? Like, what's kind of walk us through the journey there of the user?
Absolutely. So there are three things. I will talk about the user journey, but let's first share the bookends with you. There are three things that Dobby app does for the homeowner. Number one, for anything that you cannot predict when something you need, there could be a leaky faucet, you wake up in the morning and you don't know, you may have a leaky faucet, you want to fix that. Or so you cannot really predict when you need what. Or you may have a plan something. But whatever you need across 30 plus service categories, across from carpet cleaning to handyman to HVAC to all the way to kitchen upgrade to roof replacement, we Dobby manages all of this for you, right? So the very first thing is that we are a one-stop shop. So all that you need to have is Dobby in your pocket, Dobby app with you. And then the second thing, for any given job, you don't have to worry about that. You just drop the job on the Dobby app and we'll getting it done. We'll get it done with 5-star quality. And I will explain exactly step by step in a bit. The third component is that throughout, there is a lot of unknowns in this industry. And what we did, and this is why we applied AI, we will talk more about that. We are informing customers about the price of something. We have created this thing called Check the Price, where you can actually go to our website or download our app, and you can ask about price of any services, any renovation, and it will give you a price range based on millions of data point and all that, right? So those are very, very powerful, kind of component that we have. So now let's talk about the customer journey. So you download the app, and we are password free, so you get a one-time passcode. So it is super easy to get into the app, and everyone should download the app, dobbyhome.com. And once you download, it will ask you, after you put your phone number, get the OTP, you get in, it will ask you, the only information is the street address of your home. So you put the street address, and then the magic will start happening. So it will scan through hundreds of publicly available data and will tell you everything that is about your home, that this is what you have, single family home, this is a square footage, this is what kind of, you do have a pool, or you may have a hot tub and all that stuff. And then we'll be actually running another model that will give you 5 things that you should do for your home, and these are the 5 renovation ideas for your home, right? So if you it will tell you how often you should service your HVAC, it will tell you how should you take care of the lawn and all that, right? So that is really guiding you, how you should take care of home. That's the one customer journey starts there. Now you basically submit a job on the Dobby app. You may already have a job in your mind, that's why you download the app, or as you're on the app and you see one of our checklist or whatever our recommendation engine is asking you to do, you start that job submission process, which is lightning fast, which is basically, as you said, either you take a quick video of, you describe the problem, or you show this is what I want to do, and then we take it from there. Our algorithm assign the right providers, and that's it. You don't have to worry about anything after that. Sometimes people don't submit the job with video message, they just write the description, take a couple of pictures. That would also equally faster, so that's the idea. I will just finish up saying this, that one of the things that we did, we always count the number of clicks homeowners need to do on the Dobby app, and we minimize that to 2 or 3. Compare that to 20 or so clicks on Thumbtack or other applications that are out there, the lead generation app. So this is something we optimize, that number of clicks the homeowner will have to use in order to getting something done on the Dobby app.
That's great. You're solving a problem for the consumer. How about the worker, the contractor that's looking for opportunities? I mean, they're probably inundated today with getting calls all the time, but how do you serve them?
Yeah, I'll give it to Alex.
So for the service providers, what we do, we call it business in a box. And so what we've really done is just the same way that we've, streamlined things for the homeowners, we are up leveling our service providers. We're giving them an easy way for them to build, manage, and really run their business with Dobby. So we manage the marketing, we manage the lead generation, because there are homeowners, and they're able to use our tool for scheduling, communication, invoicing, payment processing, a lot of technology that they are not able to compete typically with the bigger players today. So we're really empowering these small businesses, these independent operators, to be able to manage their business with our technology in this next generation way, to support homeowners who want to work directly with them. But again, they're looking for someone who can give them something that's going to block their Google Calendar, right? They aren't looking for a phone call and a voicemail, and maybe they show up at your front door. Maybe they give you a quotation with a sticky note. They're really looking for someone who's using a streamlined way to provide this information to them. So that's what we're doing, is we're really arming these high quality independent operators, small businesses, to be able to be successful in this environment.
That's great. By succeeding in this business you guys are building, who is the biggest benefactor for your solution really in the market? Is it the consumer, or is it the contractor, or is it both? Maybe something more than that.
It's both. Spoiler alert. So the obvious one is the homeowners. Really, the problem that we're solving, the problem that we're discussing, everything that we've done has really been with that end user in mind. But understanding that as we've built this, just how much our service providers have benefited, and just how much they're raving about it as well. We have providers who are solely on Dobby now. They've quit other platforms, or they've built their entire business on Dobby. They're using us completely to manage their workflow. And we have stories of providers who are now making 3x what they were making before, because we're really able to be creating a much more efficient system for them, that again, they may not have the resources or the business acumen, or frankly the interest to manage their business, right? These are craftsmen, these are people who have a skilled trade. doing that and managing a business, as we all know, managing a business is very difficult. We want to take that piece away from them and really, again, level them up level them, and create this business model that is small business friendly. That's so they're benefiting, and they're loving it.
And the only thing I would be adding to that, what Alex and I talk about all the time, is that underlying all this, we have an aligned economic incentive.
Mm-hmm.
So when homeowners' problem is someone should get my job done with 100% reliability. So once we get the job done and homeowners keep the 5-star rating, then homeowners pay. When they pay, service providers get paid. And when service providers get paid, we get paid, right? So that alignment, that everyone is winning, the supply side, the demand side, the homeowners and the service providers, and us, the platform, winning at the same time, is a critical component of our solution. To give you the context, like, if you go to the lead generation website like Angie's or Thumbtack, that's not what is going to happen. Like, when as a homeowner you are submitting the job, like, you will be getting connected with 4 or 5 providers, and all of those providers will have to pay those lead generation websites already. So, and the platform is making money at that point. So platform is benefiting before the homeowner's problem is solved, and the service providers, like, making money from this job, right? That's not what is happening here. So it's a very interesting philosophical standing for us, that the platform happiness matter. The homeowner, service providers, and us, Dobby, should be happy at the same time, as opposed to in different time point.
That's great. There's so much buzz in the market today around AI and how it's helping companies and how it's, making industries better in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Talk to us. You touched on AI already a little bit with automations, but talk to us a little bit about how AI is being used really inside your application and really how it's benefiting how you run your operation.
Yeah, Jake, as you said, that AI is bringing things like better, faster, cheaper, right? And that's exactly right. So there are 3 areas where we apply AI and automation. The first one is large scale process automation. So I come from particularly robotic process automation background, where we look into different processes, manual processes, we distill them, we simplify them, and then we automate them. The fun part about home services industry was when we entered, we did not find any process. People are 90 million American homeowners and 3 million providers are doing things in their own way. Someone is showing up on your door, someone is calling you, someone texting you, someone is not at all talking to you. All of those things are happening. The first thing that we did, both of us wrote down what needs to happen from the moment homeowners has a job, and all the way to the 5-star delivery of that job, and the payment and invoicing, quotation, pro assignment, everything in between, the communication. So we wrote down that process. That was the first piece. Once we did that, we automated that, right? So that's the first application of AI. So behind Dobby is 2 companies sitting in one. So the first thing we did is an enterprise-grade vertical AI software called Gryffindor, and with that software, we are running this large-scale process automation that, customer success. We do a lot of automation on the marketing side based on your historical data and other longitudinal data. We'll tell you what to fix and when for your home, right? So those are the things that we are kind of telling you. It's like Netflix for home services kind of stuff, right? So that is another element that we are doing. So large scale process automation on customer success, marketing, and biz ops. The second thing that we do there is called agentic AI, right? So we are right now in this industry, you need to have, when homeowners and service providers are talking to each other, Dobby is also there. And when we're there, that is where we're facilitating that with a 3-way chat, which is extremely effective and very popular. People love that. Homeowners love that we are there when they're talking to service providers, right? That chat is right now kind of rule based on your historical data and different milestone. We invoke payment and etc. We have enough technology now, and we're growing the data so we can create and kind of a smart system, what people call agentic system, that will drive that quarterbacking, while keeping us in the loop, right? So that's the second application. That is something that we're building. The third element is that throughout the customer journey, when you are looking to do a job, you may not know the price of the job. So we deployed foundational model that is telling you what the price of the job. You may not know what you, as a new homeowner, what are the things I need to worry about. I did not know anything that I have to do winterization of my sprinkler system, or how often I have to do HVAC. Dobby's AI model is actually telling me that based on the publicly available data and my historical data. So that is the another thing. So 3 things we are doing: large scale process automation, RPA, And then the second thing we are doing is agentic system, which is kind of automating our chat and etc. And then the third thing we are doing is this really plugging in all this foundational model wherever we observe knowledge gap in the customer journey. So homeowners and service providers get to know about like what to do next and so on.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for summing that up. Part of building a company is, you always go through shifts and pivots and challenges. Alex, what's the biggest challenge the company's facing today?
I'd say the biggest challenge we're facing today is positioning. There are a lot of home services companies that came before us that are here now, and really understanding that we are foundationally different than those companies. How do we make sure our prospective homeowners know that? That's really the challenge we're facing right now. For example, we are the only home services company with a climate program. We are the only home services company that's really focused on these small businesses that I was mentioning earlier. Building a business model that is actually small business friendly. That's a very important piece to us. But again, that's something that oftentimes people find out after they've peeled back the onion a little bit. So, how do we really? And then, of course, all of the technology that we've used foundationally to build Dobby since day one. So Satadru shared, a lot of the AI that we're implementing today, and there's so much more that we'll continue to do. So how do we make sure that all of those things are clear and presented as soon as possible to someone? Because again, it's very easy to see a lot of noise in this market and not recognize Dobby is different than anything that's been around before, and why exactly it is the right positioned the right way for this to be the only home services company you'll need move forward.
That's great. We touched a little bit early on about just the shifts and pivots that companies can go through. So, Tadru, what's a shift or a pivot you've gone through that really has helped, transform the company or maybe just redirect it in a path that's got more success for you?
Yeah, that we actually have a great story around that. So in 2014, when I was at AIG, that is as I highlighted before, that is first time I thought about starting a company. So what I did, I wrote down a two-page business plan, and that two-page business plan was about a company called Hello's Insurance, which is still our official name, Hello's Insurance, doing business as Dobby. What is the story of Hello's Insurance? The idea there was that I saw at AIG in commercial insurance, people provide not only insurance policy to all these insurance policy holders, but they're also giving them loss preventative services. So they help policyholders to actually like mitigate losses. I'm like, why we're not doing this to the homeowners? Like I should start a home insurance company, not home services company, home insurance company. That was the original plan, and partner with the best in class home services platform out there and sell insurance to homeowners while also giving them all these preventative maintenance and whatever they need anytime, and with partnering with that home services company. Fast forward, I realized that I did not know anything about home services at that time, that there is not a single good home services company. There is a reliability issue in this market. NPS is negative 24. That is worse than the Spirit Airlines. So I understood that what we really have to do in order to build that insurance company eventually, or adding any other product, we have to solve the painkiller problem. If you're a homeowner, your biggest problem is not insurance. Your biggest problem is the home services and reliable home service and renovations. So we realized that that is the mountain that we have to cross. If we can build the most loved home services company in America, we can add any other product after that. And that's the pivot we made. So we stopped building a home insurance company. We rebranded ourselves from Hello's Insurance to Dobby, and we started building the most loved home services company in America.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a big change too. It's something that takes some courage and you hope for the
Yeah.
best. You never know what's going to happen, but sometimes that's how you get the biggest breakthroughs in a company or the biggest sort of aha moments that happen. What's been the biggest breakthrough for you as a company, maybe technically or maybe personally?
Right. So technically, like if you think about building a company, oftentimes we are told that bring automation, bring AI much later, right? Because that's the thing that will help you scale the business, right? We broke that rule. We said no, we need to build that automated backend from get go, from the very beginning. Why we needed that? Because it is not only going to bring the scale, it is also going to bring the power of data, hyper personalization. And we were right about that. That was the something we did, because that's how we build something, but what we fast forward, what we realized, that in order to achieve high NPS, high margin outcome, you have to have that automated backend from the very beginning, which is informing customers about different steps of the home services very easily. They are not worried about that, and it is just getting things done for them, right? That do it for me app concept for homeowners, that is happening because of that automation in the backend. In the contrary, many home services company, they start by throwing people at the problem as opposed to automating background. That does not work. This is a very paradoxical, because you would be thinking that these companies are starting with this objective of concierge model, helping the homeowners, but then why their NPS is so low? It is low because if you introduce human in this process, which is already complicated, it would be making it more complicated. One of the outcomes that we do not talk about AI and automation, we are always very kind of excited with the magical effect of AI and automation, but AI and automation is also very boring, right? Tesla parking, like auto, parallel parking, it will apply Archimedean geometry and will do the parking exactly the same way every single time based on the data, right? There is no exception of the rule. And that's actually a beautiful thing when you are dealing with home services with otherwise very variable, like things can go wrong many different ways. So we are basically streamlining everything, and that is something that is our biggest aha moment. I will wrap it up by saying that, so like the best way to understand this is that most of the companies look at this problem as a bad actors problem. Homeowners do not want to pay, service providers are terrible. We do not believe that. What we believe is a bad process variance problem. Like process variance is very is very high in this industry. Things can go wrong, but if we can quarterback everyone and streamline everything, then right homeowners and right providers, if we can match them, then things will automatically happen. And that's what we see in the results. We have plus 80 NPS and 82% gross margin is proving that point.
That's great. Technology is one thing, but the people behind the technology really make the difference. When you talk about hiring can be challenging. It can also be frustrating. Talk a little bit about what's been challenging and maybe what's been successful when it comes to hiring for you.
Right, hiring our own operators, right? Absolutely. So, Alex, you also like add to it. Let me start. Like we are big on undiscovered talent, right? We believe in opportunities. And there is three axioms. Like when you get opportunities, you say thank you, and then you make it big, and you create opportunities for other people. Those are the three things, right? And we apply that everywhere. We apply that to ourselves, and we apply that principle in our hiring. Coming from DataRobot, we had 300 people team in Ukraine, and in Ukraine, we started this company with team members in Ukraine. That is not a outsource model, it is literally the hub model. So we are basically I've been there 7 times before COVID, and we literally build entire engineering is built by team from Ukraine. And that we are the best product in this 500 billion industry and built it this way. And so that is like what we do. And I will tell Alex, because our recent finding is that now as we are building customer success, that team was historically in the US, but we are also doing very good with that team as we are building our offshore team.
Yeah, so I think the breakthrough around hiring is for us has really been what the power of technology does in terms of, again, this undiscovered talent. What can we, by creating our system, by creating our backend, we're really able to work with people literally anywhere. And I think that was something that probably a lot of people saw in terms of 2020 remote workforce. We of course were beneficiaries of that, but then we really saw what happens when, again, we expand that circle a bit and expand what that could mean for our company. So our customer success team now is actually growing in El Salvador. So that's another market where we found that the level of hospitality, also the level of professional experience. There's a lot of large companies that actually have had bases there, and I was not aware of that before this. And it really, I think, just opened up both of our eyes to the potential of talent being anywhere and what it, Chadru kind of mentioned earlier, we're both so passionate about people that if you have the right founders that really care about building up talent, really care about giving these opportunities, then the world is quite literally your oyster in terms of finding that talent. If we were people who were maybe not as interested or maybe didn't see the value of spending that time or training or building up this workforce, I don't think it would have worked out so well for us. But I think, again, really being able to recognize the potential and that talent in those opportunities that we were given at one point in time. And so how are we extending that around the world quite literally?
Yeah, that's great. I love that strategy. I also know that it is easier to to build local or globally and also remotely. And it really, there's some big advantages. You give people opportunities that they didn't have before. And cost structure wise, as a company, your fair pay to people wherever they live. And at the same time, you can really optimize your business in a healthy way, which I think is, very strategic. What do you know now that you wished someone would have told you before you started the company? Alex, Satadru, whoever wants to answer that one.
Iteration. So really understanding the value of rapid iteration and fast learning. That's, so foundational to being an entrepreneur. But I think what's really been the biggest learning for me is, of course, when something's not working, you have to keep trying and iterating on it, right? I think one of my biggest learnings is, even when it is working, how important it is to continue to iterate and optimize on it. Because the pace that a startup grows, because the market changes, if something's working, you just say, okay, I'm not going to pay any attention to that. I'm going to focus on something else. By the time you go back to that thing that was working, everything has changed already. And so I think that really understanding that rapid iteration, fast learning doesn't just happen when things are not working. It actually needs to continue to happen when things are working. And that's where we start to see that 2x, that 10x, that improvement level that makes a startup grow the way that it needs to.
And it's a principle that we use it for life also. Cannibalize your own success continuously, right? And that's been very successful so far, and that's a very big principle on how DARPA does research. When I was at DataRobot, I came across this Harvard Business Review paper where people were studying about how people invented internet. We are in applied research, right? So here no one knows what's the next breakthrough. We know what breakthrough we want to achieve, and the best way to achieve that is really moving fast and trying different things. And as Alex highlighted, the market is changing, competition is changing, people are changing. So in that changing environment, faster we try different things, better outcome.
Yeah, that's great. What a great story. I like what you guys are doing, and I know it impacts a lot of consumers. I will be a fan for sure. What's the world going to thank you for when you execute this model and scale it out?
I think being able to actually enjoy home ownership. I know when I bought my home and we had our first kind of hiccup, the thing we had to get, taken care of, I looked at my husband and I was like, what did we just get ourselves into? And I know that's a very universal feeling that a lot of homeowners feel when the first thing goes wrong. But owning a home is such a big life milestone. It's where you create memories. I have a 2.5-year-old little boy. So when I think of my home, I want to think about that. I don't want to think about the deck that cost 3 times what we thought it would cost to repair. And so I think that's really when Dobby is everywhere and is doing exactly what we want it to do, people are going to be able to take back home ownership as a positive thing.
And what Alex just described, that's the sentiment of our homeowners, right? So we hear this every day, working partners, working parents, they're busy, we are just we want to get things done without thinking about it. Like I was telling Alex that the most magical thing would be, even before they submit, we are just getting it done. And that's our vision, self-managed home, right? Property management company embedded inside our homeownership experience and getting things done without even we are realizing it. And another thing that is really passionate, we are passionate about, it's an open problem. Home is not something new, home ownership is not new, but no one was able to solve this problem. And we have the technology now, we have a new generation of homeowners now, new generation of service providers now. So we're at the right time in the right place to really bring the right solution to the problem. So that would be very exciting for everyone.
Yeah, that's great. Well, as we wrap up here, I want to thank you both for coming on and joining. If anyone wants to find Dobby or find you, where do they go?
It's very simple, dobbyhome.com, right? That's our website. And if you go to the website, there is a big QR code. You can just scan it, and that's it. And it is even simpler to download the app, dobbyhome.com/app. That's it. It does not matter. We are a very technologically advanced company. It will recognize your operating system and lead you to Google App Store, Google Store, Google Play, or App Store. It's as simple as that. So dobbyhome.com.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for joining. I want to thank you for having the courage to come on and share your story, and also for the listeners for listening. It means a lot to me that you spent your time with us. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now, but can't wait to catch up with you all on the next episode. Until then, take care.
Thank you, Jake.
If you like what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. And follow us on YouTube, where we go behind the scenes to learn what it takes to be a startup founder.